So yesterday we implemented the login page. Okay. A very basic one with hard code. Okay. So
Mm.
when we talk about web application, so we have two kind of web application, either a website or a admin panel kind of application. Admin panel kind of application will be by default only login page should be there. Once user login, after that your navigation and everything should come. So if you have that structure, so your routing structure will be like this. Okay, where you create one extra component, which is going to be your parent component after the login. Means by default, your app component is the parent component, but this parent component will be only for the login component. So if user is not logged in, login component will render into your app component. But once user login, then he will navigate to some another route. And all these routes, which are, what do we say, uh, after the login, which whatever the routes, whatever the component you are going to access, that will be children of this layout component. And in this layout component, you will have again navbar and router outlet. Router outlet is at two times now, app component also and the layout component also. Okay. Now this was the routing. What we did, then login component, we have done just the hardcode login. So we created a class over here with the set of properties, email and the password. Then we created object with the data type of that class. This object we binded to our form using ng model. Then on click of login, we just hard coded check in the username and the password. So if email ID is this and the password is this, we will allow him to navigate to the dashboard. Otherwise, wrong. So this is hard code login. Normally we don't have hard code login. Obviously, we authenticate user with the API. Okay. Now the API. So this is the Swagger which we have to use for this project. Motoparts Jirasim.in. I'm sending you the link also. I think everyone should have that. And project port number got changed. 4208 you have to run all the project. 4208. Okay.
All the projects from
Yeah, all the
here
project 4208.
from today. Okay.
Yeah, just this project. What's the port number? I set it for this. Let me see. Stock one. Origin. Okay, this is allowed on 4200 only. Okay, the project which you are using, this API are 420 only. Now, if you see this API, from here we can create the employee. In employee controller, we have this create API. Okay, so this will help us to create the employee. Let's try to create a new employee. But when we create a new employee, what is this employee ID? What do we call this employee ID property?
Pri- Primary key, sir.
Primary key.
Primary key.
Okay. So whenever you are creating a new record, primary key should be 0. Okay. After that, department ID and the designation ID. What you will call this? Database
Foreign,
foreign
foreign key.
key. Okay. So this foreign key we get from the master API. So at the bottom, you can see this is department API, get all department. Okay. Let's say department ID is 4. Okay. Now I'm creating employee from over here. Okay. Where it is post, try it out. So department ID is 4 and then we need designation ID also. Let's say the designation ID, execute. Designation ID, let's say 6 I'm using. Fine. Designation ID 6. Okay. Then here we need to provide PAN card only. If you pass something else, now you will get error. Anyway, let's try creating a Chetan. And for the login, you can see we have a login API. What See, every time there are, as I yesterday told you, there are multiple ways to do the login. Sometimes OTP based, sometimes email ID password, sometimes by using that Google authentication also we can do. Active Directory also is there. Okay. So when we pass the user ID password, sometimes it can be email and the password, sometimes it can be just email and the mobile, sometimes it can be username password. Combination can be anything. But on this project, what we are going to use login? Email ID and the mobile. This combination we have to pass, then only we will be able to log in. Okay. Now, so email ID, let's say chetan@gmail.com, and mobile I'm passing 1122334455. Okay. Let's try to create. On click of execute, we should get one error. What it is saying? That verification documentation name, only Aadhaar card and PAN card are allowed. See, this verification document name. So here you can just pass two types of value, either Aadhaar card or the PAN card. Okay. Then it will create. Mm, what it is saying? Violation of unique key constraint. Cannot send duplicate key into employee object. Duplicate key is which key? Unique key. I didn't add unique key. Why it is saying unique key?
Maybe designation or like
Hmm. Oh,
department ID.
or something else it is saying unique. But unique key I didn't add. Let's try changing everything. Execute. Yeah. Okay. So record got created now. See, once the record got created, we got the employee ID. Okay. Now, this is my email ID and this is my password. Let's try to log in. So try it out. This is my email ID. Let's say I'm passing the wrong password for now. If I click on execute, in the response you get bad request and you are getting wrong credential, check email and the mobile. Okay. Now let's try the correct password. If we pass the wrong credential, API is not getting successful. 1122334455. If I execute, see, in the response, you got the user object. Understood? So if you pass the correct credential, you will, in response, you will get the user object. Otherwise, you will get wrong credential message. This is your login API. So what we did over here, this was static. We were checking email ID and the password here only. But now this user credential will get authenticated from the API. Okay. Now, so this was a new project. So first, like if you have to do the API integration in the standalone component, what is the first thing we have to do? What's the
Provide
first?
HTTP client.
Hmm?
Provide
Service.
GDP provider.
Register the
Right? In app config,
GDP.
here we have to register our provide HTTP client service.
Provider.
Provide. This is the first thing you need to do. Okay. Now again, like as I said, like this is going to be your proper project. So we created this pages folder. So pages folder will contain all the component which you are going to be create the route. Okay. Pages will contain all the component which you are going to create the route, because some can be reusable component also, which we are going to see. But I have to create a service now, right? So in app folder, I will create a core folder. Okay, I'm not explaining folder structure in one go. Whatever the things we are going to need, like that, we are going to set up the folder structure.
So like folders will be in the similar way in like in live projects as well when
Yeah, almost similar.
okay.
Core, shared, constant, model, directive, like that. Because as I told you,
Okay.
in Angular, we cannot implement very strained architecture like .NET or Java. We can just create the folder structure. That's it. And now we have the micro front end. But again, that's just different project. But inside project again, it's just folder. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Now, so core folder we have created. In core folder, normally services, model, okay, interceptor, auth guard, these things will go. Things which are not connected with UI. Okay. In core
Okay.
folder, what things will go? things which are not connected with UI, just the code. Okay. Now in core folder, I'm creating services, and one more folder I have to create, that is model. Okay. So see, in core folder, I have created two folder, model and the services. Now in services, I have to create my first service. Right click, open new terminal, ng generate service user. Okay. First service I am creating, that will be user. Now here we are going to have the API call. But remember, yesterday we created this model. Okay. And this model was inside our login component only. But we normally don't create our classes and the interface into our component. We should create it over somewhere in the model folder or the classes or the interface. Okay. So we have created this model folder. Inside that, let me create user dot model dot ts. Okay. Now here we will create our class. Now for the login API, what data we need to send? This kind of object which has email and the mobile, right? So we have to create a class of it. Class login model. What was that property? Email.
Email and mobile.
Data type will be string.
String.
Mobile colon data type string. It's a class, right? Why it is giving error? We have to
Initialize the properties.
right? So constructor round bracket curly bracket this dot email is equal to, I will initialize with empty. This
Sir,
Mhm.
I have a question. Sorry, I did not attend the
Yeah, yeah.
class yesterday.
Yeah.
What is this model used for?
See, here, let's say in login object, whenever we create an object and that object we bind to the HTML form, right? So what we do normally, any we do, and here we create the object. Okay. Let's say if I create email colon empty, mobile colon empty. Normally, you are familiar with this, correct?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Now, if you bind this object over here in the HTML, see, it won't suggest anything. Is it suggesting something?
So
It's not
the
suggesting,
properties
na?
which inside the
Right. The properties, whatever we said, it should suggest, right?
suggest.
But since we
Yeah.
provided the data type, that is any. Any is a dynamic data type. It can have anything. Currently, we are storing object, but let's say in constructor, I can store a single value also to this string or number because data type is any. So what we do, we create a class. Like how many properties we are going to have, that properties we created. Now this class, we have to provide it over here as a data type. But since it's a class, so class we can initialize it like this. Okay. Clear?
Yes,
Let's
sir.
remove this. Understood? So now if you
Yes.
see over here, you get to see properly properties because we have strongly typed this variable. We have provided a proper data type to this variable. Now those properties are coming. Clear?
Yes, sir. Got it. Thank you.
Here and here. Mobile will be there. Same property will go over here. Understood? Why it is not giving error? It should give the error. Let's try to run the project.
So change input type also.
Which one?
Password.
Password
Okay.
only, no? We don't show. Okay, mobile. You said moving, so we yeah. NGS. See, we have created a class in another file, and this class we are using it over here. It should give the error, but maybe we had that class over here with the same name. Now, might be it is not giving error because of that. But in the runtime, you will get the error. See what it is saying. What's the error? What's the error?
Cannot find the class name.
Cannot find the class name means it is not able to understand what is login model. Here it is not giving error, but it is not able to find that. Why?
We did not import the
Right? Firstly, we did not import. Okay, let's write the import. Import curly bracket from dot slash double dot your core slash model slash
models.
user model.
Yeah.
Okay. Now here, if I pressing control space, it's not suggesting anything. Okay. Let's manually write it also. Still it is giving error. Why?
You should export that.
Right? See, we have created a class. Now, either it is a JavaScript or a Angular. If you want to use something from one function, one JS to another JS, we have to export that from one JS, then only we can use it in another JS. What do we call that? Import and export in JavaScript. What do we call that? Let's say you have two JS. In one JS, you have one function, and in another JS, you are going to use that function from one JS. Right? So from a previous JS, you export it, and in another JS, you import it. What do we call that concept?
Export here.
No, I'm asking what the word for that?
Sharing.
No. In JavaScript, I'm asking where let's say you have two JS, user.js and utility.js. From utility.js, you are going to use one function into user.js. What do we call that? Module.
Training.
No, module. In JavaScript, that we call module level programming. So that's the module. Okay. So that's why here you get to see the error saying like this is not a module. Okay. Now, so if you same goes over there also. If you don't export that, you cannot use it in another JS. Same thing like that. Because this class is in one file. Na? So to allow this file to be getting used outside this file, we have to export it. So simply write export keyword. Now see error is gone. Now I will be able to use it. Okay. Understood now? So because yesterday what we did here only we created, and in this file only we were using it. So there was no need to export keyword. But now our model, our class is in a different file, and in a different file we are using it. So we need the export keyword. Fine. Now, so here
You have
we
to
need.
change it to mobile
Yeah,
passport.
no, we are not going to need this. Na? API call we are going to do. Okay, so we created our model. Now we have to create a API call function. So in user service, private HTTP HTTP client, login user. Now, this is going to be your post API call. So return this dot HTTP dot post round bracket double quote. Now we need the URL. So this is my URL. Let's copy, paste it over here. What do we need else? Post API required how many parameter?
Two.
Two parameters.
Two.
Two parameter. So here we should have one parameter,
Object.
Data. Login
right?
data.
Login object colon. What will be the data type?
String.
No. We will
Object.
pass the object, na?
Object.
Class.
So this class, na? Login model.
Login
From
model.
here you are going to pass the object of this. So same data type you have to go it over here also. Understood?
Okay, yeah.
And whatever the object you get, that you will pass it over here. This is your login API function. Now, in login component, this dot, now we need to inject that service, right? So
Yes.
user service is equal to inject user service. Okay. Now this dot user service dot, currently we just have one function, login. We have to pass the object. So this dot login object you will pass dot subscribe
Response.
colon. If you check the login API, what type of data you are getting? response. Here you need to specify the response,
Object.
na?
Object.
Object.
Right? Means
Object.
this login API, what type of data you are going to get? Object. So this also you need to create. Okay. So now instead of creating all this, now I'm using online compiler converter, convert JSON to TS. Any website you can go, you have to put your JSON over here. It will help you to create that. So whatever the string you have, if it's a double quote, now it will give string. If it's a direct value integer, it will give number. If somewhere is boolean, na? Yeah. If it is true, we will get boolean over here. Okay. Let's copy it. Now I will provide it over here. Okay. Now we are going to need a class. Now because this same class we are going to use into our employee CRUD also. That's why I'm going with class. Okay. All the properties we have to initialize also now. Or for now, instead of this, let me go with interface. Interface we don't have to initialize. Okay. So I have created interface. Just like class, we can create interface also. I will explain properly when we navigate to the CRUD operation, when we have to use a class and when we have to use interface. Okay. For now, just the data type we need. Again, whenever you are creating interface, make sure you start the name with I user. Okay. Now, what type of data I'm going to use? I user. Instead of any, here we have to write I user. But let's write the complete thing. Okay. But still I'm getting the error. If you check, what will be the error? Here you see, this is the error. What might be
Void
the
is
error?
not assignable to the value.
Why it is saying like this is void? Means it is saying like result is void, but you have assigned a data type. Getting and see, this is the actual response, but you are writing a response like this because see, what is the response type of this function? Login user?
Void, nothing.
Observe.
Response type.
Observable.
Observable of type
Observable.
object. Right? Did we specify what type of model I'm going to get?
Object.
Object. Because here we didn't specify, na? So you cannot add a data type over here. Okay. So here also you need to provide a proper data type. Colon. What this function is going to return? Observable type. So OBSER. Why it's not coming? Let's add the import of RxJS. Observable. Whatever that function is returning, observable type of data. So that's only we are adding. Observable. Now here we know what this function is going to return. It is going to return I'm user type of data. Okay. So this is your function return type. Just like we provide a data type to the variable, na? Just like that we can provide a data type to the function also if it is going to return some value. Okay. So after post also you need to specify I user. Okay. Now if you go over here, now it is not showing error because we provided a proper data type. See, observable of I user. Now I can provide a proper return type over here. Understood? So this is your success call. And if error means if you provide the wrong credential, we need to handle that also. So after this subscribe, you need to add error callback like this. Okay. And over here, alert error dot message we were getting the message. And this is your success call. Login success. Okay. Let's add a debugger over here, and over here. Let's test it. Where is the error? Okay. I'm providing the wrong password for the first time. Okay. On click of login. See, login object, whatever the credential we passed, continue. From here, it will go to the service along with the object. Okay. Here you got the object. From here, actually API call will trigger. and we got the response. But what it executed? Error block. I mean, if you hover on this error dot message, no, error dot error, and in that message you got. So error dot message you need to write. Currently you see error dot message, you got this above outside. See the error object. You get the error property. You get message property over, but this is generic message. But from API we are getting the proper message that is in the error block. So if you have to show this message, what you will write? Error dot message. Getting it now?
Yes, sir.
Error dot message. So this is what you need to write. Error dot message. Okay. Let's test it one more time.
More question.
Go ahead.
So this error block will execute only when the backend throw
API
an
call.
error, or
Yes. Only backend throw an error. Okay.
but there is something when the API is not right? If the
That is also backend. Every time, if anything is error within this block, if something is wrong, it will execute error block. Okay. If URL is incorrect, if you are not passing correct data, API send the error, every time it will execute the error block.
even the domain name, like the route name, is not correct.
That's what I'm saying now. If URL is wrong, if API is sending anything bad happens over here, it will execute error block. Clear?
Okay.
The 23 line number, subscribe the RES, the result
Yeah,
is the
it
response.
is saying deprecated because we have to use next. I will explain that. Okay. It will
My
work.
question is other side.
Yeah.
The response we are storing with the name RES.
This is your variable. You can give result, anything. Okay, just to catch whatever this function is returning, we need to catch that data. Na? See, from
Yeah.
here you are returning. If you are returning something, you need to catch. So that's we are catching it over here.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Now, let's try it one more time. Execute, continue. Now error message you got, and you are providing the proper message.
Hello.
Okay. Yeah.
कल की बताऊं छोड़ देते हो
Be on mute, guys. Okay. Now let's try the correct password. So this is my email ID. 1122334455. On click of login, again we are passing the correct credential. Continue. See, now your subscribe got executed, and in the result you got the whole object. Understood? Login success, and okay, we removed that navigation thing. Okay, so login is successful with the API integration. Normally we don't show the alert in case of login. What do? We have to navigate user inside the application. So this .router.navigate by URL, and we have to navigate to the dashboard URL. Let's get the dashboard route over here. Okay. Now let's navigate also. The user got navigated also. We got the log off button. Okay. What else we need when we focused on just the login functionality? We integrated login API. If the login API is success, we are navigating him inside the application also. What is still remaining?
If password is wrong, like number of attempts,
that we have. No, that will be from the API side, right? On UI side, what is remaining now?
On log off, it should navigate
Yeah,
to-
that is also happening. On log
We
off,
need
it
to
is.
show a message like
Need to show
successfully logged
the-
in.
We need to show the logged in username over here, correct?
Yes.
How you will know which user is logged in, right? Either it is Gmail, Facebook, any application you have seen. You get to see the logged in username, correct? Now, from the login API, here you get the login object, means complete user detail. So that we need to store it somewhere. So since Angular work normally on the browser. So on the browser memory, we have to store it. Now there are different medium to store the logged in data. Local storage, session storage. What else we can store? Cookies. Again, service variable. Okay. Subject or behavior subject. Okay. These are the various ways by which you can store the logged in user detail. Based on the scenario, based on the security level, you will use some of it. Okay. What is your scenario, like that we have to use. Okay. We will discuss it after some days, but for now, so we are going to use local storage. Now, in result, you get the data. So that data you need to store. Local storage dot set item round bracket. What type of data we have to pass to the into the local storage session storage?
Key
values.
What type of data I can store in my storage?
String.
String only. Okay. But in result, what do we get? Object. So we cannot store object. We have to convert that object into string. Okay.
Correct.
So this is why onboarding user. This is my key name. JSON dot stringify. This is a method which will convert your object or array into string. Okay. What you need to pass it over here? Whatever the API called result you get. Okay. Let's test it one more time. On click of log off, it will go back over here. Application. Let me clear the existing one. Currently in the local storage, we don't have any data. Okay. Now if I log in, continue. If you check the local storage, see, we got the data. By looking at it, it is look like we have stored the object, but it is in string format. Okay. Fine.
Yes, sir.
So now, even if you reload, now you know the user is logged in or not. How you will know? If the local storage has this key, you will get to know that user is logged in or not. Okay. Now this data we need to use to showcase into the dashboard component over here. Okay. So in dashboard component, let me close all now. Now in dashboard component, we have to show the logged in data. Where we have stored the logged in data? Sorry, not dashboard. Layout, na? We have our navbar in the layout component. So in layout component, we have to show the logged in data. Okay. Where is the logged in data? Logged in user data, where it is?
Local
storage, right? So once your component load, on the load, you need to read that local storage data. You will store the logged in data into a variable, and then that way you will use it over here to print. Okay. So here I'm creating a variable logged data colon any, sorry, I user. We have provided we have created proper data type, right? We don't want to initialize it. That's why I'm adding a not sign over here. Okay. Now lifecycle event, that which lifecycle event we have to use it over here?
ng on init.
Right? On the page load we need to do.
Yeah,
Either
on
you
init.
can write that code in constructor also or ng on it also. Implement on init, ng on init. Fine. Here local variable I'm creating logged user is equal to local storage dot
get item.
And whatever the key name you have passed while storing the
Onboarding.
data, right? This
Yeah,
same
user.
key name you have to use, onboarding user.
Onboarding.
Okay. Over here. Now, whenever you read the local storage data or session storage data, if the data is not there with that particular key, you will get null. So you have to always add a null check. If logged user data is not null, then only you need to convert. Now, when we store the data, we converted it into the string. Now we need to convert it back to the object format. right? Because we cannot print, we cannot have, we cannot use dot operator on the string, na? We need object only. So
Yes.
this dot, you will store the data into logged in data is equal to JSON dot parse method you have to use. To convert into string, stringify. To convert it back to the object and the array format, parse method. Okay. And this variable you will pass it over here. Let's add a debugger properly and understand this code. See, in the dashboard, your layout component got executed. If you check over here, see, is it an object or a string? What data we have
String.
got?
Strings.
Why
String.
string? Because it is enclosed with
Double
double
quotes.
quote. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, inside that, see, we converted that string into our object,
Yes.
return type of this. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, we got the logged in data in this variable. So now this will show, let's use a span tag over here, dot, what do we show? Email ID. Let's add class text white. Let's see. Okay. We are able to see the logged in user data. Now, pay attention properly. Once I log off, currently, if you can see what logic we have in the log off,
We are again
Login
We are
page.
going back to the login page.
login page.
but is it sufficient?
No, we have to delete the data as well.
Right? We have to remove the local storage data also. So before navigation, local storage dot
Is dot
remove
remove
item
item.
and again your key name.
Key name. Onboarding.
Onboard user.
Okay. Now one more new topic we are going to see. Now if you see this key name, we are using 3 times. Here we are using 2 times. Here also we are using 2 times. Correct?
Yes.
This is repeated.
Mhm.
Yes.
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 Let's say again, so many components are there. Every component you are reading the local storage data. So at all times, so many places you will have the same key. But let's say your TL said like this key got exposed and you need to change it. So wherever you are using that key, everywhere you have to go and change it. Again, your test cases will change. Again, tester has to test it because if you are changing a single word also into your component, tester has to again test it, right? Correct or no? Because
Yes.
you might say, even though it's a simple value change, you might make some spelling mistake also sometime, right? So your code your application might broke, right? So you have to test whole thing again. So what's the solution of it? Instead of writing this everywhere,
Placing them globally in one place
right?
and using that.
Somewhere globally you need to store this. So for that, we create constant file. Okay. Now in our core folder, one more folder I'm creating, that is constant.
The TS
Okay.
file.
Now here I'm creating constant dot
TS.
TS file, simple TS file. Okay. Now in my constant file, I will create my constant. So again, export keyword is needed.
Yes.
Obviously, no, because
Yes.
from here, whatever you store, you are going to use in another file. So you need to export. Export const. Constant is equal to curly bracket. This is your constant file. Nothing but an object only. Okay. Now here I'm creating my first key. Whenever you create key name into your constant, that should be in the capital case. Okay. Logged, or what will the right name? We are storing local storage key, right? Logged local key. Value will be this onboarding user. Okay. So now let's see local storage key. Okay. So in constant, I have created a key where I have the value, whatever my key which I'm going to use in the to store the data. Now, instead of this hard code, I can remove this and I will use constant.
Constant dot.
See, it is suggesting from core constant and constant. Once I click on it, it will add the input. Constant dot local storage
Local
key.
storage.
So wherever you need the local storage key by which you are storing the data, you will use this over here also and in the login also. Let's add the input. Understood? So common data which you are going to use over multiple component, even if it's a string value, you should not write it again and again. You have to move that code into your constant file. Understood?
Yes.
Now you just have to change it in a one place. No test cases needed to be changed, nothing. Yeah, obviously testing tester has to do one round of test, but not in detail because we know only one file we have changed. And if one page is working, every pages will working fine. Correct? So this have achieved reusability also.
हेलो सर
Yeah.
एक्चुअली अभी हमने जो कांस्टेंट की स्टोर किया तो
हम्म,
उसको हम लॉगिन का भी नाम दे सकते हैं ना या
कुछ भी नाम दो ना, नाम कुछ भी है तुम्हारा, राइट?
ऐसे मल्टीपल हो सकते हैं ना अलग अलग
हाँ, ये सिंगल है, उसके बाद लेट्स से कुछ है और तुम्हारा लेट्स से वैलिडेशन मैसेज और समथिंग. You can store multiple data over here. Okay, we will use that. What scenario जैसे जैसे आएगा हम use करते जाएंगे.
ओके ओके सर
Okay, clear
सर
everyone?
तो सर
हम्म.
जैसे हम कांस्टेंट में ऐसे वेरिएबल क्रिएट करके वैल्यू दे सकते हैं वहां पे चेंज कर सकते हैं तो सर क्लास और इंटरफेस के लिए भी हम अगर ये यूज करें वो तो ज्यादा
नहीं,
डिफिकल्ट हो जाता है ना
class or
मतलब
interface is something else. Constant is something else.
अच्छा,
Don't get confused with this curly bracket. Class and interface something else. It is used to provide a strongly data type only.
ओके
Okay, this is something else. This is constant value. In your application, wherever some data you are going to use multiple time, instead of using it multiple time, you store that into constant and use it from constant. Understood?
ओके
Fine. See,
Sir,
Hmm.
if you don't mind, can you repeat again in a short summary, like what we have
See.
done?
let's say even simply validation message also. Let's say you're working on a project and in every form you show that this is required in your HTML. You show the required message, no? This is required, we show
Yes.
for validation.
Yes.
That word, this is required, will get repeated in every HTML file wherever you are going to show the validation. That is getting repeated, na?
Yes.
Okay, let's say you created project. In every component, you have the validation form. You have written this is required in HTML. But let's say after some day, client says instead of this is required, I need this is mandatory. So what you need to do, every component you will go and you will manually change it. Correct?
Correct.
But if that is coming from your constant file, only one place you have to change.
Correct.
Yes, correct.
Understood?
Correct. Understood.
That's the use of constant. Now, instead of hard coding that, you will read that data from your constant. Clear?
Yes.
So we can use for messaging purpose
Everything.
Yeah.
Message, regular expression, right?
okay.
Some, let's say some static drop down is there. Here I have to, while explaining this project, I have explained, right? If you see the create employee, for department and designation, we have the data coming from the API. But if you check the state and city and the state name, we don't have data. So for this also you will create static array. So that static array also you can store it into your constant file. Okay. Anything which you are going to use, if it is going to be used multiple times, more than 2 times also, you have to move that into your constant file. Understood? If particular thing is there that you are going to use in a single component only, you are not going to use that again in some another component, then you can put it that into your component. But let's say something is there which you are going to use in across all the component, instead of using again writing, instead of that you can put that into constant file. So it should come from your constant file. Okay?
What all data types can we store? Like only string
Anything, object, array,
objects.
boolean, anything you can store. Okay.
Okay, how do we store object? By giving a key.
Again, same thing.
Tell me
No?
once.
Let's say something I'm storing. And here you again you will store key value pair data.
Okay.
Okay. No, sorry. In constant, we cannot store object that kind of data because here it will be like, let's say, validation messages. Okay. Let's say you have this key. Again, inside that key, let's say required. Okay. Let's say I have created like this. By looking at it, it's look like in this property, we have an object, right? Whatever we know from the object, it will look like in constant, we have this key, but in this key, what do we have? Object. But see over here, how it local constant dot validation message dot directly get the required. Understood? So you cannot store object over here, but array you can store because how you read the property is like this validation message dot your key, and here you should have the value. So array you cannot store. Again, it will like structure is something else. So in constant you cannot store the object. Okay, array you will be able to store because that's a value. But again, if it is an object, again it will think like again we have some more nested key value pair data. So you cannot store object only over here.
Okay. So we can just store like a primitive
String.
data types.
An array you can store.
Okay.
But object, because in constant we access particular field like this now. Because just to separate, you can have a key value pair just to group it, right? Let's say
Right.
required, then min length. All the validation message will go over here. Correct? You can put it over here also at the top level, but we need to separate it also, na? All the validation message will go over here.
Right.
Then let's say regular expression, right? So that's why we cannot store object because we use that object structure, nested object structure, just to categorize the constant also. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sir,
Hmm.
can you give a summary like how you have integrated this post API for the login? So first you have created the model.
You are still with the login only. Swati, try to go through the recording.
Sir, actually, I will finish my work at 6:30 in the evening, 6:30. Then I have to look after the family. I have a small baby of 2 years old. I prepare the food, then I'll be rushing to this class.
Yeah,
After this, I'll be so tired.
but at least try to go through one more time. Okay.
Yes, yeah, sure.
See, API call. Doesn't matter if it's a normal API call or a login. It's a normal API call, right? URL only.
Yes.
What functionality we have written, that is something else. So whatever we have done till now, how we integrate the API, some similar like that. Okay. See, similar like that. But you know that this API is going to authenticate user. That's the only difference. Otherwise, it is normal API call. Okay. What we used to do, we create an object. We normally used to provide it over here, any, but instead of that, we have created class of it and we have provided a data type over here properly. Okay. Now this dot user service, in user service, we have created this function and this function has a parameter. Okay. And this is where you have the API call, your API call, and whatever the object you pass, you get it over here, that you pass it over here. Okay. And once that this function is going to return some data, so that you will get it over here. Understood? And this object you have bind it to your HTML form. You create object, you bind it to your form, and on click of save or submit, you will make the API call.
API call, yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Now, till now what we have done, we have integrated the login API. We have stored that data into local storage. While storing, we have the key, local storage key name we have stored into our constant. Okay. And in layout, we are showing the logged in data also. How do we do that? By reading the local storage data and storing into a variable. Fine. Now,
Yes.
In the dashboard component, here also you need to show the username. Here it will be like welcome. And here you have to show your logged in username. Okay. See, once user login, in the navbar also we are showing the logged in email ID. But let's say here in the dashboard, you might have also seen in the dashboard we get to see our name, welcome something. So here I need to show the full name, username, whoever is logged in dashboard component. So what I need to do?
Interpolation.
Huh? I need to see show over here logged in username, whatever the logged in user is there, it's his full name. I need to show it over here. What you will do?
Parent to child relationship.
No. This is layout component. This is your dashboard component. We don't have parent-child relationship with this. Right. My simple question is in dashboard you have to show
stored
the
in local storage.
right. See now over here in layout component when we have to show the logged in email ID, what we did? Read the local storage data, store it into variable, and then we use it.
Interpolation.
Again, same thing I have to do it over here. Now I have to show the logged in full name. So again, I need to read the local storage data, right or no?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yes.
So
Anji
log
already.
in data colon I user. Again, I will implement
Anji already.
on init, and the same piece of code I will need it. So I'm copy pasting this code now. Okay, because code is not going to change. Correct?
Yes.
Constant import we need and logged in user data. Okay, and then logged user data interpolation
Interpolation.
dot full name I need to show. Okay, see Chetan, it is coming over here.
Okay.
Okay,
Yes.
now one more. Let's open this over here. Now just see properly. What is wrong over here now?
Repeating code.
Oh man, more time using.
Same code
Right?
Code.
we
Same
are
piece of
using
code we have
multiple
again created
components.
again and again. So
Multiple
this is
times
code
using.
repetition. What
Yes.
we can do to avoid this?
Service.
We can move this logic into our service. Correct?
Yes.
So if we move this logic into our service, then here you will call that function. Correct?
Yes.
But again, you are calling that function 2 times unnecessary. See, imagine that. Let's say
Yes.
we move this code, whatever reading the local storage data, converting it, we will move this code into service and we will return the data. And here you will call that function. Let's say this dot logged user data is equal to your service dot get user, something like that. Right?
Yes.
But
Yes.
again, like every component, you will create this variable unnecessary and you will again call that same function and again. Somewhere that is also redundant, unnecessary. So a right solution for this, whenever we do the login implementation, we store the logged in data. Doesn't matter where you store that, either local storage, session storage, cookie, but wherever we need the logged in user data, we don't again read that data from the wherever you have stored. What we normally do is we have this user service. So in user service, I will create a variable. What I will do in user service, I will create a variable logged user data type will be I user not sign. Now over here we will whatever the code we have written to read the local storage data, this I will move it in the constructor of the service. Okay. And here I am storing. See what I have done. In my service, I have created a variable. And in that service, whenever service object get created, my constructor will execute,
Yes.
right? So I'm
Yes.
reading the service data from my local storage and storing into this variable.
Yes.
Okay. Now, wherever you need the logged in data, you will use this variable from your service.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
So now here you don't need this variable. You don't need this logic also. What you need? You will just need to inject your service.
Service.
User service is equal to inject user service. Okay. Now this you can directly use into your HTML. Understood?
Yes. Yes, sir.
This is the right way to do this. Same thing in your layout component also. Now you don't need all this code. This variable also you don't need. Directly you will use this variable over here.
Locked. Yes.
Understood? So you removed your redundant code also, and you make means instead of creating one more extra variable into your component, you are directly using the service in your HTML. Understood?
Yes.
Clear everyone what we did? So wherever in your application, wherever you need the logged in data, you will refer to the user service and this variable. Understood?
Sir, one more doubt.
Yeah.
Sir, in layout component, we have created the logged in service, right? Logged in code to display the data. So instead of using the subscribe, so is it possible to using by pipe or tap like that? Because it
Where we
is
have done the subscribe. In layout component, we didn't subscribe anything.
Oh, no. Before injecting the service into the what do you call in this layout, I mean the login component. So you have previously
Integration.
This.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sir, just 1 second. Sorry.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Chetan.
Sorry.
Go ahead. What was your question?
So actually, my doubt is that you have previously, I think you have done that by using subscribe, right?
Right.
So instead of subscribe, is it possible to write with a pipe or tap like that?
Yeah. So tap is something else. We will see that, but tap we don't use it over here. We use the tap into our service. Tap operator is used to read the original data. Tap operator.
Actually, my point is, sir, so actually this when we hover on the subscribe, it is showing that deprecated, right?
Yeah. So here we use that next method. See, over here only it is showing. We have to write like this. Next.
Okay.
This is just a normal code I wanted to showcase now everyone. That's why I'm doing like this. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Fine.
Chetan, I have a doubt.
Yeah.
So after login, we are storing the data in local storage, right? So the main purpose is when we refresh the page, it will fetch the data from local storage, right?
Correct.
Instead of storing in a different variable.
Correct.
Okay.
If you store it into this variable, then that variable will be accessible in this component only. Now we need to store logged in data into something global. So that's why we use storage. Okay.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
See, so whenever you have to implement login, all this, so many things you have to do, not just the API call. Clear?
Yes, Chetan.
Sir, and one more doubt. You previously said that while we are logging off, we have to delete the user data, right? Login details like that.
Right.
But why do we need to delete the data? So instead of we are storing in the local storage, right? Right.
Let's say if you don't delete this, okay? See, I'm commenting it. Okay. Currently in the local storage, I have the data. If I click on log off, what I'm doing, I'm simply navigating it back to the login. But this data is there, na?
Still it is there. Yes, sir.
So this is
Okay,
not
okay.
right, na? User logged up. So we should not store anything related to that user, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next, who
चेतन
was? Yeah.
ये आई यूजर के बारे में तो क्या बोलूं आई एम फीलिंग लाइक वी हैव नॉट डन an separate interface for that, right? It's look
We have
like that.
created interface
Oh,
by
okay,
user.
okay, fine.
And this we are using it over here
Got it.
instead of
Yeah,
going with any.
okay, missed it. Yeah. And one more thing. For that, this one, constant, can go to the constant things. Yeah, here, you showed that this one, no, to store the local storage variable, we reduced the code and we created a separate service for that. Okay, for local storage.
No,
No, I mean, can you go back?
we didn't
Yeah,
create
here,
this.
line number 16. Okay.
We are using that from, instead of hard coding this value over here, we
Yeah,
are reading that from
yeah,
a constant.
this one I got. 1 second.
And in dashboard also we are doing this, but now that code also we removed. Now the log, the key we are using it in a single place. Previously we had that over here,
Okay.
right? Again we optimize that. This code was here, na? This code, whatever we have over here, this was over here, right? So we moved that code into service.
Okay. Can instead of like what you said was using it everywhere, we can put it as a service.
Correct.
So can't we put it as like a global constant and there you will try to access it everywhere?
But what global? Where you will store it? What global? That's the same thing, na? User service, consider user service as a service where you can store your data, and wherever you need that data, you will inject that and you will use the data from this variable. This is kind of a global only. We in Angular, we don't have such thing as a global. Okay. On a code level only, we need to manage that. Okay. Just like if you see the JavaScript code, if you declare any variable within script, you can access that anywhere else, just like that. But here we don't do something global like that. We have service for that. In service, we create variable and we store some data, and then wherever you need it, you read the data from this.
Okay.
Okay.
Fine. Understood.
So
Yesterday, while creating a new project, like you said, like I am not installing all the npm modules and using it from already available ones. Like so, like how do we like how did you do that? Like how do you
that is
use
just a
that?
command.
Okay. So you have
This is the
only
command. I have created one copy of node module for Angular 19, and I
Okay,
use that
here
same folder shortcut everywhere else. Okay. Understood? See, I have in the Angular 19 folder, I have around this many project. Same
Okay.
in 18 also. Same in 17
Okay.
also, 15. So I
Okay.
cannot keep all these node module, na? So my
Right.
laptop space will get over, na? So I
Got it.
created a single copy of node module in one project, and that
Okay.
node module copy I use it everywhere as a shortcut.
Okay, like where do we use it like as a shortcut? Because like whenever we create, it will automatically like
Yeah.
download all the models, right?
Yeah.
How do we
You have
stop it and
no. When you create the project, you stop that. NPM install was going
okay.
on, na? So Control C, you
Yeah.
will stop that process. So
Okay.
NPM node module won't get created. Then
Okay.
you run this
We have to
command
use okay,
that
okay.
it will
And
create a shortcut of that folder into your new project.
got
Okay.
it. So this will like
A
automatically
single
use the
yes, see over
okay,
here.
okay, models.
It is saying shortcut symbol.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. Fine. So see, in login page, so many things we have done. Not just the API call. We have stored the data into local storage. In service variable, we have created a variable, and in service variable, we are reading the local storage data, assigning it back to the service variable. We are showing the logged in data into dashboard. Layout component also we are showing. And on click of log off, we are removing the local storage data and again navigating back to the login page. Okay. Clear, everyone?
Yeah. What if we do not remove and we log into the new user? Will it be like overridden?
Yeah, obviously it will overridden, because in login
Okay.
component we have that code equal to.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it will overridden. But let's say you are in the internet cafe, okay? You logged
Got
in.
it.
You did, let's say whatever the developer we have, he didn't remove the log. And let's say he used the back button. Still he is able to see because we didn't remove the logged in data.
Got it.
Understood? So
Okay.
that's why
Yeah.
whenever user is logging off, we should not store anything, right? Because he's logged off. Okay?
Got it. Yeah.
Now, shall I explain one more topic or tomorrow?
We'll see tomorrow.
Sir,
Hello,
tomorrow.
sir.
Yeah. Anyone who was talking?
सर इसका वीडियो रिकॉर्डिंग मिलेगा ना अभी बाद
हाँ.
में?
Sir, after login, we need to store data, right?
Right.
I think in service you directly use in constructor, right?
See, let's add a debugger in constructor. We have a debugger, okay? See now properly when this constructor will execute. If I reload, see, user service constructor got executed. Why this constructor got executed, user service? Why this got executed?
Because we injected, right?
Because user service we have injected into our layout also,
Okay.
right? And in dashboard also. So that's why your constructor will get executed.
Okay.
Okay, continue. And only one time. See, we have injected user service into dashboard also and in layout also, but constructor got executed only once. See, one time, continue. That's it. Understood? So once, doesn't matter, your service got injected into 10 component, but service will execute only one time. One time is object is created, that's it. So that's why in every component you get to access a single object of this user service. So you can share the data also, whatever the data you have stored, that you can access into different component also.
Chetan, that exclamatory symbol is just to denote that this logged in user is for not null.
Undefined. Otherwise, we have to initialize this. Okay. If you
Is
don't add this,
it meaning of not null or
not undefined? We are making like this is optional. We don't have to initialize it. Otherwise, you will get the error. Then over here, this dot logged in user data. All the properties you need to initialize like this. Whatever the properties you have now, you have to initialize all the properties. Then that error will go away. Okay, that's why instead of doing that, I'm going with not. Clear? It's like making it optional. We don't have to initialize this.
Sir, why under the hood that a user service instance only created at one time, not for every component?
See, services in an Angular will have a single object. Single object. See, what do we have it over here? Provided in route. Sorry, root. Means this service will have a single object. Single object. So if you say we have injected this service in the dashboard and so and the layout also, and by your logic, if it constructor will execute 2 times, so we will have 2 objects present of the same service, right?
Yes.
But above the service provided in, it is root. So when you add a root, by default only single object will be created of this service. So it doesn't matter wherever you.
Yeah, okay. But if we create an instance with new keyword, then it will create
right
2 instances.
Right. But we don't initiate that like, correct? Again, you have an object over here in the constructor. Again, you need to provide an instance
Then
of
that will
also.
create a problem, right?
Right. So we should have a single instance only of the service. Okay.
What are all the options we can give in that provided in Chetan?
So
Maybe
root we
instead of
have,
root.
platform we have, any we have.
Any.
Module also we can pass. Let's say you have a lazy loaded project and you want your service instance for that particular model only. You can provide a module name also.
So if we provide that module name, then this service will be injectable only in that particular, is it?
No, it will have separate instance for that module.
Oh, okay.
That module will have a separate object of that service.
Okay.
Okay. With root, it is global. In evening, we are having the internet interview session. There I will explain it properly.
Okay. Is it a single value property, or we can?
Single value property means single instance.
What you said?
Single instance.
Can we provide multiple values? I mean, in the
Multiple
provided
variable.
root, comma.
Okay, here no. Either root, module, or any, na?
No.
You cannot have all. Only one value.
Root means all over the module, all over the application is going to be only one instance.
Yes, only single instance.
But if we provided module, it's going to be module based instance.
Yeah, for particular module, they will have a single separate instance.
Got it.
Okay.
Sir, and one more thing. For suppose when we logged into a something page, so by accidentally when we clicking the back arrow, so is there any option to stop the navigation to back page like that?
No, means let's say you logged in and you accidentally click on back. So obviously
Yes,
it will go to the back page, na? Right? That's a browser functionality, but we can restrict that also. So routing events are there. Before navigating back, we can write some code. And if you write some code, if you return false, it won't go back. We can stop that also. Okay.
Okay.
Now tomorrow we are going to see the auth guard. See, now user is logged in. How do we know that user is logged in? Because in the local storage, we have the data. But let's say if I click on log off, local storage data got removed. We navigated back to the login. But if I press back button now, still I'm able to access the application.
Yes, sir.
This should not happen, right? So for this, we have to use guard. So it will check if the local storage data is not there. It won't allow user to log in again. And this variable is also coming because in log off, we didn't clear that service variable. That's why it is still there.
Okay.
See the login function now. What we did, just remove the local storage and navigated back. We didn't empty this service variable. So it is still like that. Okay. Clear all? So this we will see tomorrow. Guard. Okay. Let's connect tomorrow. Fine. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.